Hey guys, this is Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, and you're listening to the ML Sports Platter.
The ML Sports Platter back with you all over the major platforms. Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Deezer, you name it, all on the major platforms. Download, subscribe, leave feedback, and a 5-star review. We are part of the Brawl Network. Follow us on Twitter at Network Brawl, and me on Twitter at Mike L Sports, and all over the other social entities as well for my 9-Minute with Mike Lindsley segments. ML Sports Takes, you name it. And on Instagram, Mike L Sports 1979. I'm always open to direct messages for topics or ideas or feedback on the show. I'll definitely read your comments aloud as well. And the ML Sports Platter is presented by Brian Comboy at Mass Mutual New York State. Tax-efficient retirement planning with Brian Comboy. Go ahead and hit him up. Advisors.massmutual.com. That's advisors.massmutual.com. Brian Comboy can help you out with your financial future. Certainly, we're happy with where we're at with Brian. Maybe you have a youngster going to college or you're trying to plan your retirement. It's worth it to go with Brian Comboy. Advisors.massmutual.com. Brian Comboy of Mass Mutual New York State is also on Facebook and on LinkedIn. A big tip of the cap thank you as well to Ken's Auto Detailing, Axe Exotic Pets, CNY Electrical, and our good friends at Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Go ahead and log on to sitmeansit.com. Find your location, of course, and if you're in the greater Central New York area, it's Syracuse's best dog training. Free consultations are available now at sitmeansit.com. It is an absolute treat to bring onto the program a long-time play-by-play man in the world of basketball, primarily now for the Toronto Raptors on TSN and NBA TV Canada. Also does some college basketball talk on TSN as well. He's a former head coach of Niagara University. I remember him calling games for the Atlantic 10 when I was at St. Bonaventure. Just an all-around good dude, and you can follow him on Twitter as well at Hello Jack. That's right, it's at Hello, and then 2 extra O's, and then Jack. So at Hello Jack, the official account of the great Jack Armstrong. Jack, it's so great to catch up again, man. Last time I saw you was, I think, probably almost, 20 years ago at the A10 tournament, and many times down at St. Bonaventure, where I know you have a lot of memories, man. Welcome aboard. How are you?
Oh, my pleasure, Mike. I'm glad to be on.
So I want to just start, first, in your world now. I mean, obviously this is a much different time, calling games and no fans and all the rest. Was it a quick adjustment for you? How did you adjust? What's it been like?
It hasn't been easy. This is the second time now. We did the bubble games remotely from Orlando, and now we're doing them again. We're doing all 72 Raptor games from Toronto because Toronto obviously is in Tampa. That's their home this year. And so we're the only team in the NBA without a home court, and we're the only team in the NBA not able to broadcast games from their home site. So it's been difficult. Now, I've had experience in the past calling games for Canada when they're trying to qualify for the World Championships and the Olympics and FIBA and things like that. You do that in the summer. And so I've done it before where you call games off a monitor. But quite frankly, it's no fun. And it's a completely different challenge. And you really got to keep your energy up. And I try to stand throughout the game just to keep myself engaged in the game, because if not, if you're sitting at home, it's hard enough to feel any enthusiasm watching it on TV with no fans. The people calling the game got to show some life and some pop. So I've been trying to do that. It's a challenging experience, but it's all part of continuing to grow and continuing to get better as a broadcaster. And so it's been a nice challenge.
I'm wondering, a couple of years ago when the Raptors won the NBA championship, what do you think that did for Canadian basketball, global basketball, the NBA? What do you think the impact of that win really was?
Well, from a Canadian perspective, I think it'll be interesting, to see where it all goes. This is my 23rd year with the Raptors. My first year was Vince Carter's first year. And you look at the fact that Canada is number 2 in the world in representation in the NBA. I think a lot of that had to do with just the excitement that Vince Carter created, and a lot of those young kids that are in the NBA now, and even the WNBA and playing overseas, are kids that were influenced by the explosion of basketball in Canada. So to me, I think that goes hand in hand. Now the fact that the Raptors won a title in 2019, I'm really curious to see the impact it's going to have 5 years from now on those little girls and little boys that were impacted watching every game, and now maybe decide to not put on a pair of skates and put a stick in their hand and play the Canadian game of hockey, and instead go out and play basketball. So it's fascinating. But to me, it's been an amazing ride. I mean, basketball is the fastest growth sport in Canada right now. And I think the sky's the limit. And the Raptors have been here. The NBA's been here for 26 years. Unfortunately, we lost the Vancouver Grizzlies to Memphis. So we got one team. But the whole country gets the Raptors. Like I did the game last night against Milwaukee. Tonight I have another game. The Raptors are at Minnesota. And every one of our games is on national television, coast to coast in Canada. So it has great impact. And it's really exciting to see where the game's going.
I think it's awesome. I think that Canada having, Raptors as the country's team in hoops, the Blue Jays as the country's team in baseball. We know hockey has several more, but I like that. I think it's cool. It's such an identity. It's such a model for people to rally around. Jack Armstrong with us, of course, the amazing play-by-play man, Toronto Raptors, TSN, NBA TV Canada, and college basketball analyst through the years. Niagara University, what do you remember most about those days, right? Like 89-ish to 98 or so, you had a really, really awesome run, 100 wins with the Purple Eagles, and I'm sure some uneventful or eventful, should we say, trips to Olean during your time.
Well, a few things. Number one, obviously I lost more than I won. That's why I'm not a coach anymore. I'm in broadcasting. And part of it was those trips to Olean to play St. Bonaventure. I used to love it, though. I think there is nothing greater than the challenge of playing on the road. And there's nothing greater than that than winning on the road.
Sure. When
you have all those obstacles. So to me, I have incredibly fond memories of playing at St. Bonaventure. The fans are so passionate. I was on a podcast with a few St. Bonaventure students a few weeks ago, and I said to them, and I really mean this, you look at Mark Schmidt, who's the coach at St. Bonaventure, and I think pound for pound, he does as good a job as any coach in college basketball in the United States. I'm shocked that some of the power conferences, the schools haven't gone after a guy like this. This guy is an absolute hidden gem. And you're a St. Bonaventure grad. You know the challenges and difficulties of recruiting the Olean, and you're in the Atlantic 10, which is one of the best conferences in the country. And to win on a very consistent basis year in, year out, there's something to that. And all these search firms that get involved in these searches for coaches get all caught up in the sizzle and the sexiness of a candidate, and some former Duke assistant or Carolina assistant, whatever the case may be, and they try to win the press conference instead of saying, who are the best coaches out there, and, we got to go find them. And, I had the opportunity to coach against John Beeline when he was at Canisius. He had come from Lemoyne.
Yep.
And John wasn't a big name, and John's a phenomenal coach. And I look at Mark Schmidt in that same way that I think a lot of people are sleeping on him. I don't think the people in Olean are. I think they're very appreciative of the great job he's done there. And I'll tell you what, you look at the job he's doing, and you look at the job that Jim Barron did before that. I mean, it's just remarkable what these guys have done, because you have teams with greater facilities, greater location, bigger budgets, you name it, that can't even come close to performing the way St. Bonaventure has, with Mark Schmidt as their coach, and back in the day, Jim Barron as their coach.
Yeah, Jim Barron, that was my time. I was there 98 to 02, and I saw you come down a lot, calling games and the rest. And it's a special place. I mean, the gym's a special place. The RC, the campus, the people. I've always said that Bonaventure people treat the program, that it's basically like our Duke. We treat it like a big national program because it's kind of like a mini cult, and we're everywhere for being such a small school. But really love the things that you said about SBU. You go back a ways in the A10 though. I mean, you're a Fordham grad. You're obviously a New York. You were born in Brooklyn, stayed in New York to go to Fordham, and Fordham has an unbelievable broadcast school. Obviously, so many have come out of there. Was it important for you to stay in New York to be so close to the mecca of sports? Is that one of the decisions that that made you stay at home and go to Fordham?
Well, I didn't play in college, so what I did was I had the opportunity to go back and coach at my high school. And that's how I got started, actually. I was coaching some CYO ball, and then I got started as a high school coach at Nazareth High School in Brooklyn. And then the fact that I was coaching there and coaching in Catholic High School League in New York, which at the time was probably the highest powered league in the country, it allowed me, as a student at Fordham, to be hired by Tom Penders, who went on to coach Rhode Island, Texas,
sure,
Houston, George Washington, he's being inducted in the College Basketball Hall of Fame, and one of my mentors. And so it was just a great opportunity as a young guy to work as an assistant at Fordham. I got my bachelor's there in history, and I got a master's in communications. Quite frankly, I had no interest whatsoever in ever getting into TV or radio. All I ever wanted to do was coach. But people say, wow, you went to Fordham, Vince Scully, Mike Green, Michael Kay, Bob Papa, yada, 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 all the different people that have done really well in broadcasting. You got an Alan Alda, who had an amazing career as an actor, Denzel Washington, to name a few. So that was not my focus whatsoever. I just kind of fell into it. I kind of get thrown off a turnip truck and get fired as a coach, and now what are you doing next? And people say, wow, you have a master's in communications from Fordham, and but I never thought I'd use it. And to me, it's been a great ride. The opportunity to coach at Fordham was a great thing. They're going through tough times right now. They're in the midst of a coaching search, and their athletic director Ed Cull will figure it out. And they've fired their last 5 coaches, so they need to get it straight there. It's been a long time of losing. When I was an assistant there, we were in the MAC conference, and quite frankly, you look at where things have gone the last 20, 25 years. They went from the MAC to the Patriot to the Atlantic 10. They got to figure out who they are and where they're headed, and I think they're in the midst of trying to figure that out now. It's taken a long time.
Yeah.
But, when you look at the fact that Fordham is in New York City, and it's a wonderful Jesuit university, and they have underperformed, where I think St. Bonaventure, in many ways, you look at them and you say, how can they do it and we can't? And I think they have to figure that out. And part of it is, a lot of times people get so caught up in hiring the coach, and I think that's important. But institutional commitment is as important, and making sure you have the fit in place. So there's a lot of moving parts there, but nonetheless, I'm excited for them, and I hope they get things turned around.
Jack, I wanted to close just with maybe a couple of your thoughts on the state of the NBA. How healthy do you think the game is now and moving forward? And inside that, I'm not a diehard NBA guy. I don't watch games in full a ton every night during the regular season. I catch more highlights and boxes and certain things. I do get into the playoffs late last year. I didn't as much for other reasons. But I do love the star power. I love huge matchups. I do like the postseason. I love when the defense comes into it a little bit more. I'm a diehard Steph Curry fan. Love LeBron, obviously. Giannis is terrific. How about the state of the game, what you see, the stars out there? Just kind of have the stage on where we're at with the league now and moving forward.
2 things. One, I would say that if you asked me this question like last March 7th, before the pandemic, I would say the NBA is booming. The NBA is doing great. We had a few challenges a year ago before the pandemic, but got through them. But nonetheless, it was headed. It was really, really good, really good. And then the pandemic hit, and I thought they did as good a job as you possibly could pulling things off in Orlando. And I think right now I've been through 2 lockout seasons in my 23 years in the NBA. I would say this year, even more so than those 2 lockout years, it's been really uncomfortable and kind of weird being able to predict what I'm seeing every night. And you wake up the next morning, you go, what happened? How'd that team beat that team? And it's just a lot of teams haven't hit their stride. You have your classic injuries, but you also have health and safety protocols, which are very important. And you have guys missing games because of that. And then you have the wear and tear of having to play 72 games in a condensed period of time, and you're going to have fatigue and sometimes scheduled losses that really create a problem in terms of trying to really get a sense of who's good. So with that being said, I think the league currently is a byproduct of the challenges of the pandemic. That being said, number 2, I would say if we get through this, and please God we all do, and the vaccines work, and we're able to get fans back in buildings, and we're able to resume somewhat whatever that new normal is going to be. To me, I think it's a league that is smart, progressive, and forward-thinking, and we'll figure out the next steps that need to be taken to go forward. I trust the leadership, and I trust the ownership groups, and I trust the Players Association from a collaborative partnership. That there'll be moments of tension and there'll be moments of disagreement. But I do think, unlike watching baseball, and baseball, the challenges they have, and they're probably going to have with the upcoming labor agreement or lack thereof, baseball completely shot themselves in the foot a year ago when, they kept delaying the start of playing when they could have had a month to have the entire country to themselves. They totally messed up, and they can't get out of their own way. And when I look at the NBA, kind of like the NFL, you can be critical of certain things, but when it's all said and done, they're outthinking most people.
Yeah, that's an awesome answer. Jack Armstrong, amazing play-by-play man, of course, Toronto Raptors, TSN, NBA TV Canada, college hoops analyst through the years as well, TSN, you name it. And you can get him on Twitter at HelloJack, and that's at Hello, add 2 more O's, Jack. It's the official account of Jack Armstrong. Jack, this was incredible. So nice to catch up with you. I have great memories of chatting with you at Bona games and A10 games, and just thanks for coming on and everything that you've done on my shows, man. Really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and I hope you continue to have continued success with the podcast, and hope our paths cross again, and go Bonnies.
Basketball fans, with March Madness around the corner, DraftKings Sportsbook is offering new users to bet $1 and win $100 on any college or NBA game through February 28th. Bet $1, win $100 on any college or NBA basketball game. All college and NBA basketball games starting between 2/14 and 2/28, and first-time DraftKings depositors only. You can make a deposit, basically, of $5 plus into your sportsbook account. Following deposit, place a bet of at least $1 on a money line or spread for any college or NBA basketball game that starts between 2/14 and 2/28. If the team you bet on hits a three-pointer during that game, you'll be issued a $100 bonus. Bet must be placed prior to the start of the game. Bonus paid as 4 $25 free bets. Free bets valid for 7 days. Failure to use the free bets will void the award. Free bet amount is not included in any returns or winnings. Free bet also not redeemable for cash, non-transferable, and non-refundable. One qualifying bet per user, and it excludes live bets, parlays, free bets, cash-out bets, and voided bets. It must be in Colorado, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Iowa, New Jersey, Illinois, Virginia, Michigan, Tennessee, or West Virginia. Get involved today with our friends from DraftKings. The ML Sports Platter back with you all over the major platforms. Let's bring in our second guest for this podcast. Jack Armstrong was amazing, and this next guy's going to be pretty darn good as well. What a career he had in Major League Baseball with the Mets, Dodgers, Giants, and the New York Yankees. He is a 4-time World Series champion, an 8-time All-Star. He slugged 335 home runs. And how about this? He had an even 1,000 RBI in his career, and now he has a brand new book out. Go get it. Major bookstores and online where books are sold. It's called Turn Your Season Around, How God Transforms Your Life. It's the great Darryl Strawberry. Straw, welcome aboard, man. Thanks so much. It's been a little while since I saw you in Cooperstown a couple of summers ago. Thanks for jumping on.
Well, thanks, Mike. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been in Cooperstown, and I think it's been a while since anybody's been there. No Cooperstown this past year, and who knows if it's this year,
Yeah, let's get into the book. I mean, Turn Your Season Around. What's the message you're trying to get across here? How God transforms your life, and I know that you have a very important message that you try to get across, and let my listeners know what that message is.
Well, I think the most important thing, Mike, is for the listeners to know that my life has been completely changed from what it used to be when I played baseball. And throughout all the trials and tribulations that I went through, I think people just saw me as that and didn't really know that would my life ever be different. And today, I get a chance to be an evangelist who travels the country 250 times out of the year preaching the gospel because God transformed my life. And, I think when I look back, Mike, I look at Gary Carter and Mookie Wilson, two teammates who I saw live for Christ when they were playing baseball. And I really wanted what they had, but I just didn't have the guts to go get it. And I knew it was real. I knew that they lived different. I could tell by when they went out to dinner with us. And then they would say after dinner they were going back to the hotel and see us at the ballpark at the game tomorrow. And the rest of us was headed out somewhere to have some fun. So I just knew it was something different and special about them. And I just admired them, and I wished I could live like them, but I didn't. But today, I experienced that in my life today, the way I live.
Was there a moment during that time, Darryl, when you didn't follow, the Gary Carters of the world and you went the other way? Did you ever, by yourself, say, I really want to stop doing this, or I don't want to go out this time, or... did you ever think about and say, okay, this is the time, but you just never did it? Did you ever have that moment where you came really, really close, I guess is what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah, I think a lot of people do that. I did that myself, said, well, this is the time I don't want to live like this and, be out chasing women and drinking, partying, drugs, and, but when you live a sinful life, you live separated. So you're not equipped, to just stop naturally by yourself because, sin is very powerful, and I think people don't pay attention to that, and that's how powerful it was in my life. It just kept pulling me because it likes the flesh. The flesh likes everything, and, that was naturally seen and everything. So, I realized that I had to do some real work, and I had to really follow some different principles if I really wanted to live like a Gary Carter or Mookie Wilson, because they were actually living it in front of us, and a lot of us saw that, and we just didn't understand, how could you live like that and not want to have fun, and, they didn't separate themselves from us as teammates, but they didn't live the lifestyle that a lot of us did.
So when I'm a kid, I was 7 years old when you guys won the World Series in '86. I'm a Yankee fan. I was a Yankee fan, then I still am now. But I was rooting for you guys because, come on, Darryl, I'm not rooting for Boston, But my favorite player growing up was Don Mattingly. Gary Carter was like my 1A. And I wrote to Gary, and he sent me back a 5x7 photo of him signed in blue ink. It wasn't a facsimile. It was real. And then you fast forward to 2010, and I interviewed Gary. He pulled a chair up next to me. He said, sit right down. He was signing autographs for all the fans, coming in. Everybody pays for the ticket, and they come in. You know how that goes. You do it a lot. And I told him the story, and he was like, wow, that's really great. And I said, yeah, do you have time for a couple questions? He said, as long as you want. And he pulls up the chair, and he was so kind. And then I told both of those stories to his widow a few years later at the induction ceremony on Sunday, and she, was very emotional, was crying. And I'm just wondering what he was like as a teammate. I can't imagine a better teammate than Gary Carter.
No, there was not a better teammate than him. Here's a guy that got persecuted by many because of his faith and the way he lived. And I think they looked at him and saw that he was smiling and he was always happy. And guys couldn't believe that he was always happy like that. And I realized that he was free. I loved Gary. I didn't have any problems with him being happy like that because I knew that I wanted that. I think a lot of other guys envied that and was jealousy. The because they wanted to be like that and be happy. It is a guy who loved playing baseball, loved God, and he loved his family. And every player on our team got a chance to see that and got a chance to witness that. But, most guys wouldn't, really understand what it was because Gary was free inside. He wasn't, he wasn't bogged down because he was chasing after money or women or life or success. He already had fame and everything. And so, from the understanding of Sandy, Gary had been a Christian his whole career. He got persecuted his whole career because of his lifestyle and the way he lived. So, but he's a prime example that God used his life to touch other people's lives. He touched my life. That's why I'm a believer today. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing today, because I saw him live that life, and I saw the way he treated people and loved people.
The New York Times bestselling author Darryl Strawberry, with Lee Weeks, of course. The book is out online where books are sold in major bookstores. Go pick it up. It's called Turn Your Season Around, How God Transforms Your Life Forward by Greg Laurie. It's amazing. You were a number 1 overall pick. I mean, you live with that your whole career. The pressure is enormous. I mean, I don't know, unless you turn into Willie Mays or Hank Aaron, I mean, I guess there's people out there who feel like you never live up to being number 1 overall. How hard is that? That pressure has got to be so fierce, Darryl.
Well, it could be a tremendous amount of pressure playing in a bigger city. A lot of number 1 picks that played at different places, their expectations wasn't high. But playing in New York City, the expectations is always going to be high. And I'm grateful for the expectations. I'm grateful for what I achieved. I'm grateful for my downfalls. I'm grateful for what happened to me from a public perception. Because look at my life today. It's been changed. I've been 13 years preaching. I've been saved and changed for 18 years and living a different life, and been in ministry for the last 18 years and 13 years of preaching, and my whole life changed. So I don't have any complaints. I mean, I think people look at it from the natural standpoint, the Hall of Fame. Man, I'd rather be in God's kingdom, Hall of Faith, like Gary used to tell me. He said, God's going to use you one day because of your heart. You're so good, and I see that in you. And he told me that, and I'm so amazed that, some people like him that saw something different in me as far as baseball. He said, this baseball won't mean anything. He says, what God's going to do in your life is going to be incredible. So, I had people speak into my life like Kid Carter and the conversations we had before that was personal. And I don't really tell a lot of folks, but, it means a great deal to me that my life would be standing on the platform today with leaders, pastors and leaders who appreciate me leading people to the Lord Jesus Christ.
You win a World Series in 1986 with the Mets. You win 3 with the Yankees. How is it similar when those two teams are owning New York in their specific time? It's hard for people to understand, but in 86 and the 80s, the Mets own New York, not the Yankees. So when you win a World Series with the Mets and own New York, and then you win 3 with the Yankees and you own New York, how are those experiences similar and how are they different?
They're the same. They're just 2 different teams with a different name. They're in the same city.
So the feeling's the same, the whole thing is the same?
The feeling's the same.
Okay.
I mean, the first feeling is incredible.
Sure.
With the Mets at 86, you can't replace that, of course, for me. Not because I was young at that time, and, we won. We were top, like you said, the Mets, we owned the city in the 80s, from 84, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, until 90. And then the Yankees came in, and then when I went over to the Yankees, I got a chance to taste a real good opportunity with the boss gave me an opportunity to taste and see what the Yankee organization was like. And I'm forever grateful for George because he was a man of loving people and caring for people. While everybody else was persecuting people, he was the one loving people. It's amazing. It's amazing when you see people like that know that they have a heart bigger than your situation. And being able to play for the Yankees and win 3 championships over there with those guys, with Joe Torre, that organization, it was just a wonderful time. And it was just like a family atmosphere that I got to build with those guys and have the opportunity to be successful over there with them.
Yeah, I mean, you had so many unbelievable moments and big hits with the Yankees and almost kind of like a Renaissance type of deal, and you looked like you were hitting in your prime. I remember the 96 ALCS, you blasted those home runs. I think you had 3 and 5 RBI. You hit well over 400. You come back in 98, obviously, another World Series win, 24 homers, 100 games played. You battled colon cancer that year as well. 99, the ALDS against Texas. I mean, you had so many big-time moments. Man, when you hit a home run in that Yankee uniform in October, I mean, what's going through your body?
Well, it's just a moment of greatness that happens, and that's what players dream of, is to play in those kind of games and come through in big games. I've seen it so many times, and I've done it over on the other side, with the Mets, playing in big games. And, big games didn't bring about fear and doubt in me. It brought my best ability out when I'm facing the guy. And I just know that if he makes a mistake, I'm going to deliver. And I was always prepared to deliver once a pitcher makes a mistake, because he makes a mistake every at bat, and sometimes you miss it. And there's times that I'm not going to miss it. When you talk about the big home runs I hit in those postseason plays, I didn't miss. I was right on top of those guys in those situations, and that's what baseball is all about. You live for that, and being able to do it in the Yankee uniform and celebrate it in the Bronx was just incredible with the Yankee fans, just as well as the Met fans. New York fans are dear to my heart, and for all that they been through with me, and they love me through everything. And everybody else might have turned against me, Mike, but the New York fans never turned against me. That's one thing I love about them.
Tommy Lasorda, we just lost Tommy, a ton of Hall of Famers most recently, as you know. It's just been a brutal year stretch. But you played for Tommy, and obviously you played for Joe Torre. What did those two guys teach you the most?
Well, I think what they teach you is to really just be yourself and have fun. I think they allow you just to be a player. They don't add pressure to you. That's what I love about them. They're baseball people. They've been around baseball a long time. They understand the game. They've seen all kind of players come. And, when they see a player that, has the talent, they just love the fact that you could just be yourself. And, that's what the game should be about. It shouldn't be putting pressure on yourself to play. I've been playing this game since I was a little kid, and I think that's why I never played under so much pressure. That's why I played to, have fun and played to win. And I think those guys, we lost Tommy. Tommy was a dear friend, and I love his wife Jo. I know his daughter, and I just know that him, losing his life is a big loss to baseball, the baseball family. What a special guy and what a special friend. And Joe Torre is just an amazing person who just allowed players to, really just enjoy the game and have fun. And, he's never turned his back on a player. He's never said anything bad about a player in the paper or anything like that. So I'm forever thankful for having the opportunity to play for Joe Torre.
Couple more quick questions for baseball great Darryl Strawberry. The new book is out, Turn Your Season Around, How God Transforms Your Life, online where books are sold, and, of course, major bookstores. Is there a chapter that's your favorite, Darryl, in this book?
Yeah, I think I usually go to chapter 5. That's one of my favorites, when you get to chapter 5, and it's about, let me get to it. I think it's about receiving, chapter 5, the fifth inning. I think it's about, where I talked about releasing God's grace, and I think that, we have to release that to others because he gives it to us. I think, so many of us think of ourselves so highly and think we're so important. And like I said before, I just watched Gary Carter. I just watched him give grace to everybody that was around him, and it was incredible. Even when things were said about him, from other players and stuff like that, he just smiled and turned the other way. And I just don't think I could have ever done that when I was playing, but I know today I could do that when people have something to say. It's not really important. I just need to release the grace of God to them.
What do you hope people say when they're done reading the book?
Well, I hope they come out and get an understanding that, my life has been completely restored to a different place. That I'm a different person from the guy that put on the uniform and hit home runs and had the troubles off the field. And people could say, if I could have, should have. No, it was supposed to happen the way it's supposed to happen. And here I come to be a man of faith, and here I come to lead people. God called me on a platform that I get a chance to preach in large churches across this nation, and I get to lead people to Christ like Billy Graham did. That is pretty amazing. I'm nowhere close to a Billy Graham, but I love who Billy Graham is and was, And when I watch his videos and the way he preached the gospel and the way he allowed the Holy Spirit to convict the people that you need God. You know, at the end of the day of your life, you're going to need this God because you're a sinner and you need a Savior, you know, and it's not pointing at your sin, but we're telling you who we are, that we need a Savior that can save us from our sinful ways. So I'm so thankful for Billy Graham and his ministry and all he did for the kingdom of God.
We're coming up on another baseball season. I'll close with this. I got to get your take on, you know, the game today, and there's a lot of people down on it because of the analytics and the pace and, you know, the ratings are down, etc. What do you like still about the game? You know, do you think the sport's in trouble? Just kind of have the stage on the State of the Union with baseball here, Darryl.
Well, I just think, you know, they've gotten away from, you know, what it used to be, you know, playing the game the way it used to be played. And, you know, we didn't have instant replays. You had to live with a call. You can break up a double play. You can't break up a double play. You got to, you know, give the guy the rights, and you can't run a catch over. What do you mean you can't run a catch over? If he's blocking the plate, I'm going to run him over. You know, this is baseball. I mean, so I think they've gotten away from a lot of things that I think have turned people off from the game, and that's probably why the ratings are down, you know, and you know, it's gone in a different direction. And the fact is everybody's trying to be a home run hitter. Everybody's got an upswing, you know. It's incredible to see a guy that can't fundamentally lay down a bunt and put a bunt over to move a guy over to get a run in and stuff like that because everybody's swinging for the fence. And, you know, that is not good for baseball. Let home run hitters be home run hitters, and you be who you are. I think everybody think, well, if I hit 30 home runs, I'm going to get the big contract, you know. And so, you know, but you're not going to hit 30 home runs. You're going to probably hit 5 at the most, you know. And then, you know, how high is your strikeout rate? It's going to be for a guy that's a middle infielder that's supposed to be putting the ball in play and being consistent.
Well, and it's funny you bring up the replay from a long time ago. You had to deal with the calls. Guess what? When we didn't have the replay a lot, Darryl, they got more calls right than they do now, you know?
I know. That's what I'm saying. You know, you have to deal with them. You know, the umpires are just like players. No one's perfect out there. Everybody's going to make a mistake. And if you make a mistake, you have the right to, you know, have that argument with him. And if you get kicked out of the game, that's, oh, well, that's just it. That's how it was sometimes, you know, and you live with it. But, you know, I think, you know, going back and forth with the instant replay to say, let's go take a minute to see if it's fair or foul. No, you made the call. Let's live with it and let's play.
Yeah, no doubt. Mets, Dodgers, Giants, Yankees, 8-time All-Star, 4-time World Series champion, and a New York Times best-selling author. It's Darryl Strawberry with Lee Weeks. Go get the book right now online where books are sold, major bookstores. Turn your season around, How God Transforms Your Life. The foreword by Greg Laurie, and some awesome testimonials from the likes of Mariano Rivera, Jack Graham, Albert Pujols, and others. Darryl Strawberry, thank you so much for your time. Continued success, man.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you.
The ML Sports Platter is brought to you by Welch & Company Jewelers, Rosie's Corner, Bryant and Stratton College, and our great friends at Camillus Golf Club. If you're in and around Central New York, greater New York State area this summer and spring, you got to go play Camillus. Awesome landscape, great greens, and stop by for a burger after your round as well. You can get their membership right now for 2021 as well, so make sure you just go ahead and visit their website at CamillusHillsGolfClub.com. That's CamillusHillsGolfClub.com. It's a shopmaker's course, and you won't be disappointed when you go play Camillus Golf Club. CamillusHillsGolfClub.com. A tip of the cap thank you as well to Ken's Auto Detailing and the Swan and Whitaker families for their support of the ML Sports Platter as well. Jack Armstrong, Darryl Strawberry, amazing guests. It's all a part of the Brawl Network. Hit us on Twitter at Network Brawl and download and subscribe to all the podcasts on your smartphone device, Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, Deezer, and anywhere else. And, of course, you can get me on Twitter at Mike L. Sports as well. Wow. 2 great guests. 2 amazing, amazing personalities and a legend in Darryl Strawberry on the field and now off the field. As I always tell you, enjoy the games.